Hey, sis.
Hey, sis. Oh, that was
We gotta
quick.
be really quick.
I know, but I have a lot of things to share.
Well, I'm worried that your mic's gonna go out, and you've got to be real still.
Okay, I'm not going to move, but I do need to show you something. I just got off the airplane from Dallas, and I'm home, and I checked my
Yeah.
mail,
Uh-huh.
and I got to block this out right here so no one can see it. But do you see?
Yay! You finally got your social security number.
With my new name, my old name.
Yeah.
I'm no longer Courtney Harrow. I'm Courtney Ashley once again. And so as your husband is updating our website, make sure to change my name, girl.
Yeah. I'm kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
You
I
miss
love
being an
our
Ashley.
last name.
I know, but Whitney Wolder, it's like Wonder Woman.
I
It's so
know.
good.
I mean,
has a really good.
it does.
It
It's got a nice
rolls off
ring
the
to
tongue really nicely. Yeah.
it. Yes.
I feel like
Well,
a new
that's
woman.
very exciting.
I know.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just I'm still currently editing this episode right now.
It's coming out tomorrow. It's all right. I have faith in you.
That's how we roll.
I'm sure I'll be getting text messages at 11:30 tonight when it's 1:30 your time. And what about this? What about that?
That checks.
And,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm not. That is not the goal. I'm gonna crank this out. It's just so good. That's the problem. The episode is so good that it's really, really hard to trim down all this good stuff.
I know. Well, you will, and I have all the faith. And we should just get into it. But I have to mention one food thing, being that it's a food podcast. This weekend, I went up to Lake Texoma with Mr. Withake, who has a lake house up there. And I got to meet the friends for the first time, his lake friends. And they had a crawfish boil, like a legit... Because his bestie up there he's Louisiana, like his people are Cajun, Louisiana. I mean, like this guy Creole, he knows how to cook. Okay, so he flew in 45 pounds of crawfish, also known as mud bugs. Crawdads. And he boils them up with, I don't even know what the seasoning is, but so much seasoning, okay? And he's got potatoes in there and corn and mushrooms and whole cloves of garlic and sausages and all this stuff. And so I see them coming out with this huge plywood board, like a table type of thing that they've makeshift, and big piece of plywood with a big rectangle or with a big square cut out in the middle. And that's where you put the garbage can. That's where you can chuck all of your tails.
So
and I know, and they set it up on sawhorses, real rustic out there, And I see Mr. Withake coming out. They're setting it up, and I see him coming out with a power drill. And I'm, what the heck? And he starts like drilling holes in the side of it so that all the juices can, all the water can drain out. So we run over there to eat, and I'm leaned up against the board, and I'm getting in there and tearing up those crawfish and getting after it. And all of a sudden I'm like, God, what is going on? And I look down and I'm totally wet. Like my Daisy Dukes have turned brown because all of the seasoning and all of the water is like drained onto my pants.
Oh my God.
And so, I smelled like a crawfish for the rest of the night.
Smell disgusting,
yes,
like a dead hooker?
Disgusting. So gross. And even to make matters, to even gross you out even more, I took a bath when I went home because I was so disgusted and he has a bathtub, but anyway, long story, no shower in the bathtub. And the bathtub was like brown when I got out of the water.
You were a mud bug in the bath.
I was a mud bug in the bath with all the seasonings. I should
have
tasted
that's
it. It was
hysterical.
Good. Yeah. But it was so delicious. I've had crawfish, but like in Mom's crawfish dip, but I've never had a real legit crawfish boil like this. And it was so fun and so awesome. And this setup they have is really smart. So,
sounds like
we could easily build one ourselves or get the help of your husband and Mr. Withake and throw one together real fast. We could have one out in your driveway this summer.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, maybe we could do shrimp or lobster or something too.
I've always wanted to do one, even if it's just like a shrimp crab boil,
Yes, let's do it. I think these are summer goals we should have. Maybe when I bring the girls, because Vivi will get after some crab.
Oh, hell yeah. I don't have enough money to get after her crab addiction.
I know, her king crab leg addiction. Me either.
Well, I don't have much, and I need to get back to editing. So I think that
should tee these brothers up.
Should tee it up. Yeah.
Well, our listeners should grab their tissues.
Oh my God. Yes. I'm
It's
editing.
a very heartfelt
crying.
episode. I know.
So sweet.
I think we cry in it too, don't we? Both of us.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's crying. It's a cry fest.
Yeah. It's just sweet. And I don't want to go in too much detail because we cover so much ground in it. But one of the things that I felt, and I'm kind of starting to, as I'm editing like for season 5, while I'm listening, I'm thinking of like, oh, how does this relate to us? And how do these stories kind of, where's a tie-in that we have? And so the gentleman that we have on, Peter and Scott Ripmaster, Peter Ripmaster, he started to run marathons and to raise money for breast cancer research because his mom passed away from that. He did that in honor of her. And we started this podcast in honor of our Momma Ashley. So,
yeah, there's a lot of inspiring moms out there that inspire us to do things in their honor. So that's exciting. His story is really beautiful, and his brother's involved, the whole family's involved, and I think you'll find it very touching.
Okay, well, I love you. I love your show.
Love your show. Hey, sis.
Hey, sis.
Well, anyone who listens to this podcast knows that we are in the business of honoring moms on this show. But today's guest took honoring the legacy of his mother to a whole new level. In fact, I would say that he took honoring his mother to the extreme. But before we get into that story, let us welcome brothers Pete and Scott Ripmaster to Hey Sis Eat This. Welcome, brothers.
Hi, guys. All right. Thanks for having us.
Excited to have you.
Scott, we've not met you before, so we're excited to have you on. And let's get to know you a little bit by going back and telling us who's the older brother and how many years apart are y'all?
I'm the older brother.
Pete is my older brother. And I grew up, I want to say, a little bit in Pete's shadow. So much where today I call my shadow Pete, which is really pretty cool.
I didn't know that.
I sent him a photo recently and I said, hey, I'm out with Pete. And it was a picture of my shadow.
And I had no idea what you were talking about. I was like,
but what I mean by that is my brother's with me, you know? Here I start. I'm already getting emotional and it's early, but my brother means a lot to me. He's my big brother, but he's also a really good friend. Pete is one of the most authentic people I've ever met in my life. And I think, Courtney, you probably saw that by his speech and up there talking. Yeah. So Pete has been a person that I've learned a lot from and look up to a tremendous amount. So I'm happy to be here. When Pete asked if I would be open to something like this, I don't know if it was totally disclosed, but this is my first podcast. And I'm excited to be on it because I'm going to learn from my brother.
Well, you know what? That's so beautiful. And thank you for sharing. And it's meant to be that you are here today because, you know, we're going to dive into some beautiful family stories and you'll always be able to have these and pass it down to your kids. So very excited to have you here. And like you said, yes, we did have the privilege of hearing your brother speak at the Room Brand Summit last year in Washington, D.C., and we heard his journey about being an ultra runner and a mental health advocate, which all began from the heartbreak of losing your mother when you were a really young man. So, Pete, tell our listeners how processing the grief you felt from losing your mother created an entire movement in honor of Momma Hillary's legacy.
Mom passed away. Hillary passed away in 2000. So it's been 26 years since we've had a mom around. And, you know, you would think 26 years later, you know, you've really kind of moved on, not moved on, but, you know, grown up and kind of, you know, had families of our own and it's still pretty damn raw. You know, it's, you never get over losing your mother. That's just something you never forget, you know, life is different, I would say. You know, life was different after that moment for me. and in some bad ways and some good ways. Some things manifested through that, in ways I had no idea that they were coming out. And that's probably the one thing that I am most sad about having lost my mom, is that she hasn't been able to see this whole path, and it's all dedicated to her. It all started, the whole running started literally to raise money for breast cancer research, and nothing more. It was.
Tell us a little bit.
I didn't even enjoy running all that much when I started. It was just a way to fundraise, and I said, I'll do it. And then it slowly became very obvious for me to see that this was going to be my outlet to grief, and to grieve, and to process, and to get angry, and to scream and cry and yell, and out in the woods. When I started running, I never in a million years would have guessed that it progressed to the level that it did. It's just, that was what was inside me needing to come out. And in a lot of ways, I think that was how deep I needed to process all this tough stuff I've been through. And not just the loss of our mom, the loss of our dad, dealing with a lot of tough stuff in life. I would say early on in life, it was like Scott and I, almost to a T, represented like folks growing up with mom and dad and a white picket fence, and things were good and healthy and happy, and things unraveled in our lives out of our control, and it's been affecting us ever since. So yeah, we don't shy away from talking about the tough stuff as well.
One story that I just want you to touch on really quickly, because it's so fascinating, is your how you ran do you run the Iditarod Trail? The Iditarod is a big sled dog race up in Alaska, and I grew up wanting to run the Iditarod with dogs. That was kind of a dream of mine, just from 5th grade. Really wanted to
as
do
most
that.
people do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I had that dream too. It just didn't come to fruition.
Professional baseball players, and dog mushers,
Yeah.
But that was me. I was different than my counterparts, always have been, always will be. I moved up to Alaska to run sled dogs, and that didn't work out real well, and I kind of gave up on the dream to run, because I had barely taken care of myself at that time, let alone 16 dogs that all had knee issues, and I just couldn't deal with it. And then I learned about this race called the Iditarod Trail Invitational, which is a human-powered race where you haul a sled behind you and you run the damn trail on your own 2 feet without dogs. And so I was just amazed that I had never heard of this race. And 10 minutes later, I was invited to come run it the next year, and had 5 years of huge adventures up there on that trail, and got last place my first year and won the race my last year, and moved on. But yeah, wonderful. But none of this would have happened without wanting to do good for mom. Because that was the genesis of all of this, and it's just snowballs out of my control.
I'm a little woo-woo, but I would say that she is with you on every single one of those runs.
Yeah,
getting you to the finish line.
I understand that sentiment, but she's not here physically. Yeah. And I can't talk to her, and I can't ask her questions. And I'm a spiritual person, so I feel that there's angels carrying me in my life, regularly. But I miss the physical. I miss the touch. I miss the eyesight. I miss the subtle things that mothers do for sons. And so that will always be something that I miss.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Well said.
Pete came to me when he was doing this.
I was going to ask you, Scott, what the hell did you think when he said he's going to go do this?
Yeah, how'd I get reeled into this? But what happened was Pete was in his, he was trying to run 50 marathons in 50 states. And he called me one day and he said, I'm doing, 50 states, and that means it's 50 marathons. Would you like to do one with me? And I said, Pete, I'm not a runner. I never have been. I think it's a foolish distance. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. And I'm going to, not do that with you. And like a good older brother should, he goes, Scott, I'm doing 50 of them. You mean you can't do one with me? And I said, okay, I will do one marathon with you. And Pete was actually up running the Rocky Mountain Double in Wyoming. So he was doing a double marathon, meaning he was running the marathon. He was turning around and running that same route again.
All in one day?
All in one day. I showed up and he was in the first lap, and I kind of crewed him. And the idea was that I was going to do my 16-mile training run. And I run the 16 miles with him, and we're about 10 miles from the finish of his second, like a good brother should, older brother. He looked at me and he goes, Scott, you just ran 16 miles. Why don't you run another 10 and you can run your first marathon today? And I said, okay, I'll run another 10 miles with you. So when Pete ran the Rocky Mountain Double, I ran my first marathon with him. And since, I believe, I haven't really kept a good track, but I think we're probably upwards in the high teens of the marathon distance together or further. So that's who my brother is. It's been pretty fun to watch.
You guys are both amazing. That's so inspiring.
Courtney, we got to step it up.
And I am the older brother, but I tell him often, I look up to him too. Scott's a dear friend of mine, and I'd lay down my life for Scott in a half a second, and so just a great friendship, and it means a lot to hear him talk about that.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Whitney and I feel similar about each other. It's such an important relationship, the sibling relationship, and we love to honor it here on this show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's why we're here. When Pete told me I could be on my first podcast and do it with some sisters, I said, all right, let's do this.
Let's do it. Yeah. Works great.
Yeah.
How many years apart are y'all?
What, 3 or 4, Scott?
4, I think. I had his ID, which was my fake ID for a little bit. So it was close to 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the old man turning 50 this year, and Scott's the young buck who's 46 or so.
I'm pretty close to you in age, Pete, but I can't run 100 miles yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come crew you when you're in LA for your next one. I'll just run along.
What does crewing mean?
Crewing is like usually in big races, like big 100-mile races. They're so long. They take 24 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. So you have people coming into certain aid stations, and that's your crew. And they're coming to take care of you. So, you sit in the chair and you got someone handing you your drink, and, someone's grabbing your vest, and someone's handing you a plate of food. And, and it's super nice to have people that are willing, because it's not glorious. A lot of people come into it thinking, oh, it's going to be so fun. And it's like, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's raining, you're tired. I'm in a pissed off mood. You know what I mean? It's a thankless job. And I have this one quick, wonderful story about crews. One of my first marathons was in Chicago, and it was one of the marathons where it was really, really hot. It was like 90 something that day. And I was literally trying to run shadow to shadow just to stay out of the
Pete to Pete?
Yeah, Pete to Pete. Yeah, I was trying to run Pete to Pete. And I was trying to run in the shadows, and I was taking water and dumping it over my head regularly, just to cool myself. But what I wasn't thinking was all that water that I was dumping over my head was going down my body into my shoes and then saturating my socks and shoes. So I had these massive blisters that I didn't really know how bad they were until I was done with the marathon. And and Scott was there. And he's very gung-ho when he's helping. And Scott was undoing my shoes. And next thing you know, he took off my shoes, took off my socks, and he kind of covered my feet so that I wouldn't see them. And he's like, holy crap, look at this, And I was like, is it bad? He's like, it's bad. And next thing you know, Scott is washing my feet.
Oh,
he is literally
God.
Between toes, gross, pus, blood, whatever is around there. Scott doesn't care. He's sitting there washing my feet. And I had this moment, and I'm a Christian, and I had this moment of...
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
I had this moment of the most selfless thing you can do for another human is to wash their feet. And especially after a marathon. And there's my younger brother just washing away. And I just was emotional because I saw the bigger picture of what was happening. He didn't at all. I did. And I just thought to myself, what a selfless act and what a wonderful brother, and it was just amazing to me. So
Really
that's the
amazing,
type
truly.
of support I have. No, and I know it will never change,
So that's crewing. And
Yeah,
I've
it
got
is.
my
crewing.
brother,
So, yeah.
and that's crewing. And I've been lucky enough to be alongside my brother for those finishes. And I've also, I was on the other end of the satellite phone in Alaska numerous times. And I remember getting a call from Pete, and he said, "Scott, I'm thinking of, I'm at the lowest spot." And I said at that point, Pete, I said, how awesome that you're at the lowest spot, which means it's only up from here. And I could hear my brother on the other side of the line being pretty pissed that I was able to say that. But that's where we are in our relationship, is that we're very real to one another. It's a memory that I look back at, and I don't even know if Pete really remembers it, but I remember saying that to him, saying, "Hey, Pete, this is your opportunity. If this is the lowest you've been, awesome. You're not going to go lower than this. Let's turn this around and start heading up." And boy, has he, and more than just this running. So it's cool to see the connection. Why we are all on this call is because of Pete's running and Pete's connection. It's there's more to it, and I look forward to exploring more of that in this call, because like Pete said, it's mental health, and we all need support from our family, and we all need support from
Our
one another.
communities.
Our community. It takes a village.
It takes a village.
Didn't know I was going to need my Kleenex.
I know, and the life lessons that are coming from these races and this journey, it's just extraordinary.
Next Texas race, I'll come crew for you.
Okay. Hell
Mark
yeah.
my words.
I love it. Trust me, I get to Texas regularly. So
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a cheerleader in high school, so
She'll throw the skirt back on.
Let's
Use it. Let's go.
I know how to mix a mean Gatorade and water.
Yeah.
And
you're hired.
my mama makes the best brownies you'll ever have. So
We'll meet you out there.
We'll bring some fuel.
Right,
But that actually brings me to my next question.
Yeah.
So
What is the fuel?
we're big foodies. We love food. When you're out there on these crazy trails, especially in Alaska, was there ever like a point where you like pulled over and mauled a squirrel because you needed some protein? Like, what was the weirdest thing that you ate out on the Alaskan Trail?
What I'll say is, I ate so much crap food that's just like quick calories. So what I had was like a chalk bag, like a rock climbing chalk bag that I would hang off my harness, and I would put all kinds of little snacks in there. So you're talking granola bars and Skittles and beef jerky and just crap food.
You're basically like a little squirrel. Like,
yeah, pretty much. You're you're just stuffing food in your mouth. Like it has nothing to do with taste. It has everything to do with calories and nutrition and just getting something in your system. And I will say this, you run at such a deficit. I'll tell you this example. When I started that run, I was 215 pounds. When I finished, I was 169 pounds.
Wow.
38 miles a day for 26 and a half days straight without a rest day. And I say I was a walking soul at the end of the race.
Oh, wow.
I was
beautiful.
I had heart, I had a tenacity to finish, and that's what got me through it. But it certainly wasn't the nutritional value of what I ate every day on the trail. But I will say quickly, the coolest moment of my whole Iditarod existence was I met a guy on the trail.
I knew you were going here.
Oh, I love this story. I was going to ask you to tell it.
Yeah, this is freaking awesome. I was in a shelter cabin by myself on the trail in a decrepit cabin, and I was low. I wasn't as low as when I talked to Scott that one day, but I was low. And I just needed some interaction of some sort. And so next thing you know, this native Alaskan drives by in a snow machine, sees that someone's in the shelter cabin, knocks on the door and says, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like,
I've been better.
Ish. I'm in a race. I'm running the Iditarod. I'm really not in a great place right now. I'm taking a bunch of hours to rest and just regather myself, get out of the weather. I said, if you could come in the cabin and hang with me for a couple hours, it would mean the world to me. And this guy was older than me, and he was like a elder type person. He was actually the beluga hunter of his town. So he's the whale hunter of
I was
his
like, as in
village.
a whale?
And so he's a badass, more or less, like really, really, really cool dude. And he came in, and we shared a beer and a pipe together, and we just shot the shit for hours. And he would let me talk, and I was crying. I was telling him about my mom and my dad and all these, it's just, when you're in a delicate situation, everything comes out. You just are not unafraid to share whatever with anyone at any moment. So I was just laying it all out there. And then finally he goes, well, I got to go. You've been talking my ear off for 3 hours now. He says, I got to go. I got things to do. I got to get back home. But he says, next town you come to is my town. And when you come there, we're going to have something special for you. And I said, all right. And so I had to, hike 20 miles or whatever to get to the next town. And when I get to the next town, this little native boy comes up to me who must have been 7 years old. And he comes up to me and he goes, are you Pete? And I said, yes, I'm Pete. And he goes, follow me. And I said, okay, I'll follow you. So I'm following this little boy to his cabin, in this humble Alaskan cabin. And I walk in, and it's the family of the man that I met on the trail. And I look over, and he's got a chair set up in front of a table. And then I look on the table, and he's got salmon, caribou, brown rice, white rice, fruit, vegetables, water, all on the table. And he says, eat away. It's eat as much as you can. We will. And at that point, the wife came up to me and says, can I do all your laundry? You smell like the worst human I've ever smelled in my life. And I was like, I'm sorry. I know. I smell myself. I know I'm terrible. And I said, I would love for you to do that. So she was taking clothes off and doing the laundry for me as I was eating this meal. And then I left that. I just thanked them as profusely as I could. And he goes, get out of here and go win the Iditarod. And I left, and the rest is history. I won the race, and that was like the most angelic moment of the trail.
They were sent to you.
And I still keep in touch with him, with Eric. And it's just like, that was why I was doing that race. The connections, the people, the mountains, the animals, the northern lights, the intense internal work I was doing with myself. That's what I was after. It had nothing to do with what I would get for winning it, or I wasn't even thinking of winning it. That was never even in the cards until it actually happened. And so it was never a goal of mine to win it. It was a goal to finish.
I know that our love language is feeding our friends and family. We love to cook. We love to make food. And when you told that story, I was like, oh God, this family is so wonderful. Like, they knew exactly what you needed, this nourishment, and to fill your body and to fill your soul. And after having listened for 3 hours, he probably knew what you needed. And I just think it's such a beautiful story, and just so representative of.
They crewed you. They crewed you on the. I crewed you.
I had a crew.
They crewed the hell out of you.
I know it was the most beautiful crew I think I've ever been a part of, and what a wonderful family.
Well, Scott, we really want to get to know Momma Hillary a bit. So you were both, as we said, young men when you lost her. So can you share a memory of her that would give us some insight into the kind of woman and mom she was?
Oh, that's going to get emotional, but yes.
Okay.
She was, she lived for her kids. So you see Pete on this call, but we also have an older sister, Sarah, who was a tremendous athlete herself. So I don't know if I'm going to give a specific story, but what I'm going to say is that she lived like I'm trying to do now through my kids. And tying it into this podcast, she was there for every event, but she was there to fuel us for every event. So, she took it upon herself when we only had that hour in between school to get to practice, that we had a plate there of food ready for us to fuel us to get us to our next adventure, our next event. So when Pete and I were talking yesterday, I mean, we grew up in the Midwest, so peanut butter and bacon sandwiches were a thing.
Yes.
But it's
your face.
I'm not mad at that at all.
People are like, that's nasty. I'm like, don't knock it till you try it. That's a Midwestern winner.
What kind of bread?
A wheat bread, I could imagine.
Toasted?
Toasted, crispy bacon, peanut butter.
Crunchy or creamy?
I like the crunchy.
Creamy. I can just see it kind of connecting and touching both sides of the toast and the bacon in between. Ooh,
crust to crust is a must.
I'm not mad at that either.
Okay, I might be having this for lunch today. I am not kidding.
No, try it, and then you can thank me later, because I'm telling you, it's a wonderful wonderful meal. And I'll take this a step further, Scott. I will say that the cool thing about our family growing up, and I knew we were going to get into this at some point, was dinner was an engagement for our family. We spent a lot of time around the table. I'll tell you the coolest memory of mine, and Scott will remember this. Dad had a rule that every time we sat down for dinner, you had to say what the best thing that happened to you that day was. And so, and trust me, there were some days that weren't great, but it reframed it that you had to think of something that was good. And I look at things these days and I just think, wow, how wise was that? Because sometimes, you start thinking about, oh, this happened today and I had a horrible day. But deeper than that, how lucky I am, and how blessed I am. And we couldn't move on until we did that. And that was just a wonderful way to eat dinner, a wonderful way to count your blessings. We weren't a religious family, so we weren't saying prayers, but more or less, those are prayers. Those are prayers in their own right, So that was pretty awesome.
I mean, I think that just laid the foundation for how you both navigate the world today with an attitude of gratitude and mindset, right? Yeah. So you can shift your mindset and make it turn a negative into a positive, and those are the kind of things you learned around the dinner table, and why we love the dinner table so much. Absolutely.
And here's the best thing about it was we did this weird thing where we would hold hands around the dinner table, and then we would do what we called a wave. And so we do this thing, and we would roll it to each other. So we would be around the table, and we'd be like, "Oh, all right!" And we'd all be like nerding out, doing this wave right around the table.
We're doing that.
And then once in a while, we'd be out at restaurants and having a good time, and we'd be like, "Time for the wave!" And we'd be doing the wave, and we'd get the worst looks from people, and we were just like loving it. We didn't give a shit. That. We were just waving around the table and having a good time. So. Yeah, we kept things light. We kept things positive.
What are some of your favorite dishes that your mom made growing up?
Lemon chicken was one of my favorites, and that probably was some wild rice, some breaded chicken, and probably a salad. But then we'd also have a grain. We would probably have some sort of dinner roll or something like that. So just very lucky to have full plates. One thing that is fun that I think you guys might like is that, we're talking about my mother, who's Hillary. Yeah. But she had a mother, right? And that's Mary or Molly Dobson, and she has her own cookbook. So that's maybe something that we can get over to you guys.
Oh, that'd be great.
We'd love to see that.
My grandmother
good too. We have a lot of people that tell us how great it is. Yeah.
Oh God, we'd love that.
She's got a ton of fun recipes in there. She's our 103-year-old grandmother. She just had her 103rd birthday.
She's still alive?
In February. She is still alive.
Oh,
she
my
is in
God.
Ann Arbor, Michigan, and she's incredible. But we'll do our best. I know I have a couple copies of it, and see if maybe we can get you a copy. I even think it went digital a couple years ago. But
digital's fine, any of it. We'd love it, and we'd love to know your favorite recipes out of there. Yeah.
One of them was bunwiches. Bunwiches were a ham and cheese croissant kind of thing that were done in hamburger buns. But she would bring these tailgating, so everyone would be individually wrapped in tin foil, and then as you pulled them open, you get that, the cheese pull kind of thing going on.
Yum.
And there'd be Swiss cheese in there, and ham, and grated onion.
Ooh. Oh,
that's
they're
the Presbyterian
sandwiches.
Okay.
Bun witches. I love it.
Witches, yeah.
Maybe we rename it. It's a little more secular to say bun witches than Presbyterian. I don't know. I like that. I just have this feeling after talking to you for a little while that you two might have given Momma Hillary a run for her money when you were teenagers, bad teenage boys.
Well, Pete definitely did, but
yeah. No, I paved the way for Scott. Scott was like the little angel because he wasn't as bad as his older brother. You know what I mean?
Was she strict?
There's the truth right there.
Scott should pay me money for what I laid down because I feel like, Pete's done everything wrong that you can do, and gotten a decent amount of trouble for it, and Scott was always Scott's the youngest, he was the baby, and he was coddled, and not by me, that's for sure. Yeah. But I was tough on that boy. I look back and I'm not super happy but that's how an older brother is, and
what did you do, Pete, to get in so much trouble, and how did Momma Hillary have to deal with you?
I was a party boy, I was going to Grateful Dead concerts and taking LSD and at 16 or 17, but I was getting into smoking and drinking and chasing ladies and running around, and I had a wonderful time. I don't apologize for those times. I am who I am.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good in me, and there's some stuff I need to struggle through, and that's part of being Pete Ripmaster. So I've gotten to a point where I'm very comfortable in my own skin, knowing that I am both of those things. So
yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. Did your mom offer appropriate bumper rails for when you were teenagers getting into trouble? And did she
was worried about me for sure. Yeah. I mean, there were some moments where she did not want me to go to college. That's for sure. She was like, you need to take a year off and figure out what you want to do, because I always tell people, and I'm sure you remember, I tell people I was the equivalent of like 10 years behind my counterparts in maturity at any time in my life. So if you're talking about being 24 years old, then I probably had a spoiled brat 15-year-old mentality in my life. And so it was tough for Mom to see that, and Mom never really saw me turn the corner, and I'm upset with that. But and I'll tell you my favorite story about my mom. We were in Hawaii on a family trip, and my dad's a party boy too, and my dad would excuse everything I do because just let him be. He's just kind of male deal, and so Mom caught wind that I started smoking pot, and I think my dad mentioned something to her, and my mom was just super mad and angry at me that this was something I was starting to do, and I wasn't saying I'm sorry. I was just kind of like, it's all part of it. And we happened to be playing tetherball at the time on the beach, and my mom is a strong athlete, and she was really feisty. She didn't like to lose either, and she was stubborn. And after that day that I told her that I smoked, she beat me 12-0 in tetherball. And she was whipping it around the pole and really aggressively. And I was kind of like laughing, and she was just wanted to kill me.
Show you, stoner.
Crushed me. Yeah, you stoner.
We don't get her anger.
Yeah. So she just showed it to me and beat the crap out of me.
That's
and that
hilarious.
was her way of letting me know she didn't agree with it. But, as she probably knew that there was no stopping me in the things I wanted to do in my life. I just have that personality of don't get in my way.
Yeah. Stubborn.
She sounds so great.
She's unbelievable. Oh my God. Yeah. We loved pranks. My mom had a great sense of humor. We had a phone that was on the wall. And then there was wallpaper, but there was a little part of the wallpaper that was rubbed out. And if you touched that and touched something else, it would zolt you. So we'd always we'd have friends over.
I can't believe you went here.
More or less tell them to they didn't know really what we were doing, and we'd be like, hey, touch this and then grab that for me, and they'd be like, ah!
Oh my God.
Zapped in the kitchen.
Like, I don't even know how you discovered that either.
I think one of us just got jolted at some point.
Yeah,
you know?
you were stretching by the refrigerator, and all of a sudden,
Yeah. Exactly.
But what an amazing prank to play on your
Ooh,
friend.
that is good.
Yeah, it was good for sure.
What's one memory of Momma Hillary that makes you laugh out loud?
I was bullied pretty bad in 5th grade, but I remember at some point, and Scott might be able to help me with this, but someone was kind of being nasty to either me, my brother, or my sister, and my mom kind of caught wind of it. And that person was walking by my mom, and my mom straight up tripped him. Just tripped him. Just freaking tripped him. And I forget like exactly when and how or what, but like that's my mom.
Yeah.
Like
Mama Bear energy
that's Momma
coming out
Hillary.
right there.
Like she did not put up real well with. Another one was my mom was in a room and like my sister was gone and the people were painting the house, and 2 of the people that were painting the house were in Sarah's grade, and they didn't know that the window was open. And they're sitting there saying all this nasty stuff about all my sister and all her friends and all this stuff. And my mom was listening to it. And I'm glad she didn't push the damn ladder over. But she opened that window up and let them have it.
Yeah.
You know,
God.
And literally cussed them out and said, you know, you fucking dumbasses, I'm right here listening to every word you're saying, you know, and you know, get the hell off our, you know, just really like stood up for her children.
Yeah.
Well, it's so beautiful that what started as a way to grieve and process your mother's passing put you both on this trajectory that would end up being, you know, Pete, your life's calling, really something that would inspire so many people as well through your public speaking and what you both get through the running. What do you think your mother would say if she was here today to see what you've done in her honor?
I think she'd be very proud. It wouldn't be the most important thing to her. There's things that are much more important than about what type of athlete someone is. And I feel the same way. I think our culture puts people up on pedestals. And like, yeah, that's cool that they can shoot hoops well. Like, what else can they do well? Like, what kind of person are they? Are they generous? I know she'd be proud and honored what I did for her in that. But I think she'd be like, okay, well, you know, let's move on and let's you know, be family oriented and talk about what's going on with Scott and talk about what's going on with Sarah. And it wouldn't be like Pete's special.
What it brings up for me is after hearing you guys speak with one another, being a mother myself, what I would be most proud of is the relationship that the two of you have and how you're 100% there for each other. I'm really honored to have you both here today, and what you've shared with us is so beautiful. And so thank you.
Absolutely. When we were losing our mom, our dad was struggling, and in certain regards, it kind of felt a little bit about losing 2 people at roughly around the same time. But the thing is I remember vividly when we were losing mom, that me and my brother and my sister ended up in our laundry room, kind of huddled together, saying, "Hey, we have each other. We're going to need to lean on each other in this life. We're going to need each other through this life. Let's commit to that right now." But massive respect for my brother and my sister, and so we're honored to do this. I thought it went well too. It's been a lot of fun, way more fun than a lot of podcasts I've done.
I'll say in the words of Mama Ashley, our mom, she raised y'all right.
Yeah. Amen.
We've got a couple of little rapid fires, if you don't mind.
Do it to Scott first. You're going to get me in trouble.
Oh, okay. Scott, what is one of Momma Hillary's go-to sayings?
You go, girl.
That one.
You go, girl. I think my mom was, into, let's call it the women's movement just before. I mean, this was in the 80s and 90s. She used to say that. And she wanted to, boast up and make people aware that she was proud of them.
Yeah, love her even more.
I'll say, like, we grew up in the 80s in a pretty male chauvinistic, time of our culture. But all the way through, Mom was like, no, women are, women are the ones, man, and here we are, and I'm here for the women's movement. I've been raised by strong, wonderful women, and I know what they bring to the world. So I think we need more of them in places of power myself. And so
thank you.
Mom was raising that flag from a long time ago, and Scott and I will continue to support our sister and support women and what they're doing with their lives. And so, that's an honor of Mom. I'm glad you brought that up, Scott. You go, girl. You go, girl.
Oh,
sure.
We love her.
Yeah.
That's great.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
Pete, if Momma Hillary had a theme song, what do you think it would be?
Oh my gosh, Scott.
It's kind of hard.
Oh
Scott, feel free to chime in.
A show
My
tune.
mom used to take
right?
us to plays when we were young, but when you're a 13-year-old boy, pretty rough around the edges, the last thing
You don't want to
go
be going to see
some-
cats.
Yeah, but
That's where we're going.
but we
Pete
did.
could sing any cats to you.
Oh well, never was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles.
Yes.
And and so that is cemented because we'd go on these road trips and we'd play Andrew Lloyd Webber, all the show tunes, and we'd be singing the songs.
Our childhood?
I'm telling you, it was awesome. And I just love Music Man and Annie and Cats and all Les Miserables and all this
Starlight
stuff.
Express?
Starlight
Oh, yeah, we
Express.
saw
I could
Starlight.
listen to that.
Toronto. We saw that
So it would definitely be big show tunes, big dramatic show tunes.
I love that. Scott, what was Momma Hillary's favorite dessert?
She had a sweet tooth, just like Pete and I. Probably a peanut butter cookie with a chocolate kiss right on the top.
Classic. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Can I change that?
Yes.
Yes.
Sticks and Stones. So Sticks and Stones were a cookie that my mom used to make, which you guys will see in her cookbook when you see it. But Sticks and Stones were chow mein noodles with...
Oh, I've had those.
Chocolate.
Yeah, they're awesome.
My mother-in-law
So it was a
makes
mix
them.
between chocolate and butterscotch melted together. We do the chow mein noodles with
I can't believe
peanuts.
you remember this. How do you remember
I
this?
still make them. I make them with my kids.
So good. Pete,
Yes.
what was Momma Hillary's favorite cuss word?
Oh, well, she didn't cuss a lot, that's for sure. But one time at the end of my senior year, when I was done with school and getting ready to go out with my buddies, Mom wanted to take me out and buy me new clothes for college. And the way I was as a kid was I have clothes. And also I wanted to go out that night. And I had plans, pretty intense plans with some friends that I wanted to run around with, and I didn't want to go to the mall. And I was telling Mom, hey, I don't want this stuff. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I remember her saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm trying to do nice things for you here, and you won't even let me take you out and buy you stuff. And and I remember being like, oh, Mom, you're going to cuss at me now? That's the move you're going to make? You're going to call me that? And, I was just a punk ass 18-year-old, and those moments kill me because if I could go back in time and spend 3 hours with my mom going to buy clothes, I would fucking drop anything that I'm doing in my life to do it.
There's nothing fucking wrong with you, Peter. You're wonderful.
Yeah.
You both are.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
It's just been such a joy today.
Yeah, what a treat.
It's real.
Yeah, what a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad we're able to have that. It's not very often we're able to express ourselves and talk about our mom like this. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Pete, you have your website, PeteRipmaster.com.
If people hear this and want to reach out to me, which would be amazing, website is the way to go.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, then. And then you're at Scott Ripmaster on Instagram.
You're looking for a house in Boulder or the general Colorado area, right? Don't we reach out to Scott?
Let's go. Nice plug. Yeah, I love it.
If anyone needs the most amazing inspirational speaker at their next conference, Peter Ripmaster is your man. And thank you both for sharing your stories today.
Thank you,
for
sisters.
having
You
us.
guys are sweet.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Okay, sis, let's end it like we always do. I love you. I love your show.
I love you. I love your show.